This is Spiritually Live.
Rejects. The squad name speaks for itself. Dave and company are some of the most underrated 6 men in infantry, forced to sit the bench on top-tier squads in seasons past. Now they've come together to form their own destiny in USL. But how will they fare when they face off against their former teammates?
All right, so Rejects. I don't like many people on the squad anymore. Everybody calls us Snakes, my squad Snakes, because we do actually snake. But this squad is full of the most notorious squad hoppers in the history of USL. Like, just look down the list, and you can't argue with me. For starters, we have Crush, aka Jared, aka Snake. Dave, aka can't lead to save himself from anything. He's had two of the most stacked squads in the history of USL in the past 2 seasons. Not history of USL, but in recent memory in the past 2 seasons, and he blew it both times. I don't know why people keep joining him. ESO, don't know why he left Crisis for Rejects. I don't get it. Like, why would you lead a 1 or 2 squad for a 4, maybe 5 squad? Doesn't make sense. Fairfax, same thing. Ketis not going to show up. Leo, fucking Snake. And then Unborn is going to be a god on this map. I do like Adam a lot. Even though he is a fucking weird dude, he's a fruitcake, but he is a really good LMG on EC, and hopefully he stays active and plays. And Vince Carter will probably play the games that Ketis doesn't play. If Vince Carter can play, I'm not sure how that goes.
Yeah, Rejects, let's go ahead and talk about Dave for a minute. I mean, like Becca was saying, he has had the most 2 ridiculous rosters in recent memory, and he wasn't able to close the deal. That says all you need to say right there. Plus, I heard that he met another infantry player last season at a bar and told him in person that he wasn't going to start. And, why would you talk about infantry in real life? I don't understand, Dave. Please, tell me the story. Going down the rest of the list, you got Deviac, or should I say Bouncer, which is Deviac's alter ego pretty much. Who knows what that guy's going to do. You got Cage, pretty good player. Jared, I love Jared. So, Jared will do fine. Danny, pretty good player. I want to see him shine this season. I already talked about Dave. You got DP, really good player. I'm glad DP's on this squad because I think he'll get a lot of playing time. ESO, well, I'm interested to see what ESO does this season. He's going to put up kills, and we'll see if he can strive for that top-tier Marine status this year. Fairfax, I like playing with Fax last season. Cool guy to hang around with. Ketis isn't going to show up to any game, so you don't need to talk about him. Leak is another one that's should do pretty well in this squad. Lyric, this is your liability on the squad. This is the one guy that I see bringing them down. He has no awareness. He's not a bad player individually, though. Really good player individually. He just has no awareness, and he's probably going to end up getting caught and blowing the game and then arguing with somebody over vent on, how what he was doing was right when it was actually wrong. Monster, pretty good and bad. Unborn is, like Mecca said, is going to be godlike this season. Unborn's going to step it up pretty big. VC, if he's not trolling, is actually a really good medic. People don't like to remember this, but he was Par's right-hand man for so many years. And some is going to do good. Overall, these guys are going to be a solid 4-seed playoff squad, and they're going to go out in the first round. And that should be considered a pretty successful season for them. They might be able to cause an upset here or there, but for the most part, they are what they are. They're rejects.
Looking down this roster, I disagree with a lot of what you guys are saying. There are some names on this list that should be players anywhere. I think Fairfax should be a starting medic for any team in this entire league. I think he's the best medic in this entire league. I think he's the most fundamentally sound player. He can play anything, and he's going to play at the best on that roster for sure. I think he's definitely the rock you build this thing around. Hopefully he shows up a lot for them. If Fairfax and Ketis are both in the game, I'm going to go ahead and say I think they have the best medics in the league. I think if VC substitutes out, it's still a great roster. It may not be the best. I think Fairfax and Ketis would be dominating. I think you bring ESO into the mix, coming over from Crisis. Like you, I kind of think he was better situated at Crisis. I kind of think he made that squad. I think he made you guys the number 1 team, and his leaving kind of puts it up in contention in my mind. But being over here, I think he's clearly the best Marine. Maybe combined with Fairfax if that's what he's playing. You'd have a lot of good killers. I think Crush can play a lot better than he has in seasons past. I think Cage is. I've always been predicting that Cage is gonna one season he's gonna turn into a nose keeper. I think he is a nose keeper, just taking a little longer to come of age. I agree with you about Unborn. I think he's an extremely quality player. I always predict him to have a breakout year, and he never does. And I'm tired of getting burned on it, so I think he's going to suck this year. Unborn, I think you're going to suck dick.
Oh!
That's not true. I really hope you turn it around and be awesome. Leak, I haven't even mentioned Leak, and I think I don't see what everybody else does at Leak, that he's like a top 5 Marine is what I hear from a lot of people, and I'm like, I just don't see that. But consistent, hell yeah. I mean, is he the kind of guy you're going to want in some playoff situations? Yes, he's a fantastic top 6, one of those Marines on a roster. But he's definitely not. I like the idea that he's not the number one killer on the squad. He's probably not even 2 or 3. And that, I think that'll work in his favor. I think they've got Warhawk, guys like that can come through for him if they show up. I personally think this team is right on par with Pam Goes Ham. I think the game of the league, the game if they play twice, I think the best games are probably going to be Rejects versus Pam Goes Ham. I think it's going to be fun to watch. Not necessarily that it's the best teams. I just think they're very well matched, well suited for each other. I think that Rejects probably has better medics than Pam Goes Ham, and Pam Goes Ham probably has better Marines. So, but it's questionable and depends on who shows up for both squads. So I would probably rate this team right now probably a 6.5 like I did Pam Goes Ham. I'll give them the exact same.
I have a few notes to make. As far as leading style goes, Dave plays pretty passive. And Leak, you always want him to be good, and the point you made was that, he's not going to be a top killer. But he never is. Like, all those years on Snakes, he was always behind, not to toot my own horn, but like me, Ernie, and TG. And sometimes Jeff was on our
it's a pretty good
squad.
3 you just listed. I mean, that's no
Right,
slant
that's my
against him
point.
to be behind those 3, right?
No, but my point is that he still didn't shine when he was the 4th strongest Marine, which is what you were saying about him on this squad. And so I don't think that helps him at all. And I also think that him and Jared play way too much alike. And you kind of have to micromanage them. Because if you don't micromanage Jared and Leo, they're just going to go off and die on doing something that's not good for the team. So you really have to micromanage. And I feel like Dave is not a good leader as far as micromanaging goes. He kind of just lets people do their own thing. I just don't think that's going to serve the best when you have people, especially in Andrew too, in Warhawk. Warhawk does a lot of his own stupid solo shit too. So I don't think that's anything. And also, one little rant about Dave. I just do not like what Dave does for the league. This season, like, he's trying to play like a saint, like, I'm not stacking. But the past 2 seasons, he stacked the league and basically tried to kill the league. And then this season, he tries to come back and he's acting like a saint. He's, not a stacked squad anymore. But all he's doing is stealing players from other squads. So I don't understand how that's good for the league either. But I see them 4th, slightly above Pam. But I think that Pam Goes Ham can beat them. I wouldn't be super shocked if Pam Goes Ham got in the playoffs instead of them. Just because I think there's a huge chemistry issue on the side of Rejects. And their play style is not good for the players that they have. So I'd probably give them like a 6, maybe pushing a 6.5.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give them about the same as Mecca. I'm going to go ahead and give them a solid 7 to a 6.5. I think they do beat Pam Goes Ham, and here's the reason why. Dave is smart enough to realize what other squads are going to do. Pam Goes Ham is going to run in one group, and they're going to try and overload a side and push. That's what they do. That's all they do. Everyone knows it now. They don't really have a lot of diversity, and because of that, I think Dave is actually a smart enough leader to realize that. And because of that, they're going to be able to take the 4 seed in the playoff spot. I think it's confirmed at this point. Dave's a saint. That's all we got to say, guys. I mean, my opinion, Dave number 1, baby. Number 1, Dave. I love you.
So we're thinking right now. I think we've still got one more playoff squad that we're probably going to talk about coming up here in just a second. But I mean, right now I think we're pretty much all in agreement that they're somewhere hovering around 4th or 5th place. Is that right?
I think they're
Correct.
4th place, and I think they beat Pam Goes Ham by like 20 kills.
Okay.
I
Okay.
think they're 4th,
We'll look
and if
forward.
they play a bad game, maybe Pam beats them.
We'll look forward to those games. I think they're going to be really good ones. Coming up next, we got Worms.